What on earth is happening with H-1B and H-4 visa stamping everywhere, but especially in India, at US consulates in India? That's what we're talking about today on today's Live at Lunch. I wish this were a happier topic, but this is something that's really important and could potentially spread to other consular posts around the world as well. So it's something we need to talk about, especially with the upcoming holiday travel season and just travel in general. So what's happening? First of all, my name is Emily. Welcome to Live at Lunch. My name is Emily Sumner with Sumner Immigration Law, and I'm so glad that you've joined us, whether you're joining us live or catching the replay. So we have received widespread reports from clients, from other immigration attorneys, from AILA, the American Immigration Lawyers Association, that in what's called Mission India, meaning the US consulates in India, they are rescheduling appointments, visa stamping appointments for H-1B and H-4 visas due to the implementation of the expanded online presence requirement that has been implemented by the Trump administration. So to back up for a minute, what is this expanded online presence requirement? It was announced on December 3rd, and I'm looking at my notes here because it's a lot happening, but on December 3rd, the Department of State announced that it will expand its online presence review requirements to H-1B applicants and to H-4 visa applicants. So we're talking about, remember, Department of State is for visa applications, okay? This absolutely could happen as well within the United States with USCIS, but today what we're talking about applies to the process of applying for a visa at a US consulate overseas, right now specifically India, but like I said, it can affect other countries as well in the future going forward. So December 3rd, they said we're expanding this requirement. This requirement has been in place for F visas, J visas, and M visas previously. So the cable announcement to the Department of State from the administration says you're supposed to start this now, and specifically it's directing Department of State officials, consular officials, and other individuals, Department of State individuals, to review the online presence of visa applicants, including but not limited to LinkedIn profiles, publicly available resumes of H-1B and H-4 individuals. And the memo or the cable is instructing officers to review to see if applicants or family members have performed work in areas that include activities such as misinformation, disinformation, fact-checking compliance, and online safety, among others. So I'm quoting there from the cable. That doesn't all completely make sense to me, but the bottom line is that they are checking for inconsistencies, misinformation, changes in information that's available publicly online about the visa applicants, and that at least right now, Mission India, the US consulates in India, are descheduling interviews. They're canceling interviews and rescheduling them for months later, saying that this process, because of this requirement, that the vetting process is going to take a much longer time, and there's limited availability for consular officers to be available for interviews. So what does this all mean? What do we do from here? First of all, take a deep breath. I just took a deep breath. I know that's easy for me to say. I don't have to go for visa stamping in India or anywhere else in the world at this point. So the extension of the online presence, like I said, is now expanded to H-1B and H-4. Previously, it has covered and still covers individuals applying for F, M, and J visas. So if you are an individual who is potentially affected by this and applying for a visa overseas, whether it's a renewal or a first-time visa, keep in mind that you want to make sure that your online presence information that's publicly available online is consistent with information that you're presenting both to USCIS and any petitions that have been filed. So H-1B petitions, any change of status applications that have been filed with USCIS, you want to make sure that information is consistent with the information that's available online, and that all of that information is consistent with information you're presenting to the Department of State, whether through submitting the form DS-160 that's required to apply for a visa, or in interviews or other interactions with the Department of State. So it's really, really important to make sure that the information available in all three of those places, and really anywhere, is accurate and that it is consistent. It is not, none of this information is legal advice. I can't give legal advice in this forum, but just generally speaking, It is not a great idea to change information that is available online once you have filed with USCIS. Absolutely prepare for delays. We're seeing this, and we'll get into just a minute the cancellations that we're seeing in Mission India, but absolutely prepare for delays in visa processing, because it's going to take time for, if the officials actually do this, it's going to take time for them to review information that's online. And to the extent possible, be proactive, right? So before you file anything with any agency with, relating to immigration, whether it's USCIS, Department of Labor, Department of State, make sure that everything is consistent as possible. So for example, if you have a presence on LinkedIn, you want to make sure that your resume or your work history on LinkedIn and your job titles and job duties and all of that aligns with the information that you've presented to various immigration agencies. It has to be accurate, of course. You can't just go changing things to make it look good, of course. But it has to be accurate and it has to be consistent. So, like I said, that announcement was made on December 3rd, about a week ago. Today is December 9th. So what's happening now is, beginning December 8th, some applicants, a lot from what we've heard, who have applied or have appointments scheduled to have a visa stamping interview for the H-1B or H-4 in Mission India. Again, right now we're seeing this happening in India. It's absolutely possible that this will be happening in other places as well, but they are receiving notices that their consular interviews that are scheduled on December 15th, 2025 or later are being rescheduled. A lot of them are being rescheduled to March and April of 2026, so months later. That means that you're not able, unless you have a valid visa already, you're not able to leave the country, and you're not able to come back to the United States probably on the timeline that you anticipated. And the consulates in India or the posts in India are saying that this is because of this new requirement for the additional vetting for the online presence review that's now required. So it's important points going forward, things that you should think about going forward with this. Be ready to be, if you do decide to travel, or if you have traveled already, be ready to be there for an extended period of time, probably longer than you originally anticipated. You may not be able to return for several months if your interview is being rescheduled. And at this time, there's not a lot of options to be able to reschedule it. Again, I can't give legal advice on this forum, but just in general, it is prudent to really think about whether you need to travel at this time. I know that it is, you may have various reasons that are tremendously important personally or professionally to travel, and I totally get that. And also, we need to balance that against the practical considerations and delays that you might see if you do need to travel for visa stamping. If you have applied, if you've scheduled an appointment to apply for a visa, if you have an interview scheduled for an H-1B or H-4 visa, make sure that you check that portal to check to see if your interview has been rescheduled. The reschedule, like I said, is happening, and there's not a whole lot right now that we can do about it. There may be litigation about this, but right now it's really hard to make changes once that interview has been rescheduled. Just in general, keep in mind that the number of appointment slots is lower right now because of this, and that's the reason that these are being rescheduled. If you do decide to travel, make sure that you are communicating clearly with your employer. And if you are an employer, make sure you're communicating clearly with the employee who is deciding to travel overseas, and have contingency plans in place for the individual employee to be able to potentially work remotely for a period of time while they're waiting for the visa to be adjudicated. Keep in mind also that apart from this particular issue of the interviews being rescheduled to months later, potentially 3-4+ months later, we're seeing in general that clients who are applying for visas overseas are facing more delays, more 221G notices, which is a notice saying we need additional information or we're going to do additional checks, that type of thing. We're seeing those more now, even for individuals who for years have had their visa stamped with no problem. So just because you have gone before for visa stamping I'm working with someone right now who has been in H-1B status for 16 years and has never had a problem, knock on wood, with visa stamping, and now this particular person is having problems. So just because you did not have a problem previously does not mean you will not have a problem going forward, unfortunately, especially in this dynamic immigration environment. So my point here is to know that they're going to, the kind of summary here is that the Department of State is going to be engaging, assuming they follow this cable, they are supposed to be engaging in more extensive online presence review. You want to make sure that everything is accurate and consistent across all of your online platforms and across what you've submitted to different immigration agencies, including but not limited to the Department of State. Know that if you have a visa appointment that has been scheduled already, that if it's scheduled for on or after December 15th, it probably will be rescheduled. Check your portal to see if and when it's being rescheduled. Connect with your employer, come up with a plan to be able to stay potentially for longer than you anticipated. And if you have not traveled yet, but you anticipate traveling in the near future, while this is going on, know that there is a risk that you will be delayed because of this this incident. So I hope that you have found this information helpful. Like I said, I wish that I had better information to share, but this is what's happening right now. And it is important that everyone who's potentially affected know the risks and know what's happening and why. If you found this information helpful, please share this video with a family member, friend, or colleague. Make sure that you are subscribed to this channel so you don't miss our next video. And I would love for you to like this video, comment. I can't give legal advice, but I'm happy to answer general questions as much as I can. If you need help with an employment-based or family-based immigration matter, please feel free to contact us. We would love to be able to help you and help stand by your side during this immigration journey. It's not easy these days, and we are here to help. We will have information on our outro slide in just a minute about how to contact us if you're interested. Otherwise, my name is Emily Sumner with Sumner Immigration Law. Until next time.